helmets. So you saw some of those over the weekend as well.
Yeah, I remember a couple was like, it starts with us. I think that was Dax. There were a number of those statements on the back of helmets as well. Frank Reich was the only head coach to kneel during the anthem. During the Seahawks-Falcons game, they kneeled during the opening kick, which was supposed to be a display of unity, and it was coordinated by Russell Wilson, obviously, and quarterback Matt Ryan. The Bills, the Jaguars, the Jets, the Dolphins, the Texans, the Cardinals, the Eagles, the Packers all stayed in their locker rooms during the national anthem. And interestingly, in Minnesota, which I thought this was a very touching nod, the Vikings honored George Floyd and other victims of racial violence by having his family present there before the game. So we saw a lot of different displays in which, the players are trying to show that they are aware of what's going on and they're trying to show solidarity, most importantly. But how impactful do you think all of those gestures and displays were?
Yeah, I think, quite honestly, with a lot of the NFL, we saw the action and the impact happen before when the Bucs shut down really the entire sports world for a day by refusing to take the court. And we saw NFL teams respond, not taking the field, the statements from teams like the Baltimore Ravens. Because I'm going to be honest, Janae, this weekend there was so much talk about bot Twitter coming in saying, I'm done watching the NFL, I'm boycotting. And we've already seen some of the ratings are higher than they'd ever been. People were so genuinely excited to have football back that I feel like this was part of the fear that we've heard from a lot of athletes, that a return to play and a resumption of that normalcy might, overwhelm or, drown out the message a little bit. I think players have been clear throughout this offseason, but I think for that one day, if you're talking about this being the dominant talking point, I don't think it was the case.
Yeah, I think people are finally having the realization that this is something that's not going to end. Just because the bots are out there saying that, hey, I want my football without politics or political stances, this is going to be here to stay. Like, you put that on your helmet, it's going to be there for probably the entire season. You're going to see more actions. I think the thing is like now, it's tough to realize that as great as, shows of solidarity are, that's not the actionable item that I think these athletes care about. They care about invoking and creating change in their communities, and also having their teams understand the sense of urgency it is for them to push those messages out. And you were right. Like, okay, yeah. Not craziest, but most extreme sense of a scenario is probably the Bucs when, they're going up against the Magic, but also see what happened afterward. Like, they stayed in the locker room talking to all the state legislature and leadership there. And then even so, we saw quickly within the NBA, them deciding to activate all of their arenas into voting places, right? So I think those are the actionable items that the players are looking forward to, not necessarily these displays of unity and solidarity. I think it's more, we're going to see more demands from the players to sort of get their ownership, to sort of put their money where their mouth is, and understand that this is not just something that can be solved by kneeling once or twice. There are some realities to the situation for these players.
Yeah, and I think it's also worth reminding people that outside of Jacksonville, there weren't fans in the stands this weekend, and we saw the one instance where there were fans in the stands when Houston took on Kansas City. What happened in that instance with the boos that were heard in that situation? And so I think without the immediate reaction, it certainly makes it more difficult to digest in a lot of this. But I think the hunger for football to be back in general was so overwhelming. It's going to be about the follow-up now. Frank Reich was the only coach to kneel, and I think the only person on the Indianapolis sideline. It was a very jarring image to see him being the lone person kneeling in that lineup. I hope he was asked about it after. Like, this is the other part of this is we saw NBA, WNBA players, athletes all over using their time with the media to address these things. And that follow-up, using that platform, is going to be just as big a part of this, because this isn't 4 years ago where this action, because of a lot of reasons, is maybe seen as abrasive in that spot. It's still, we saw there's enough blowback to consider it a protest, but it is something that has been more normalized, has been more adopted around the league than it was when Colin Kaepernick and others first took a knee.
Yeah, I think a couple years ago, if you took a knee, I think you were really thinking that your career could be in jeopardy based on public perception, but that has come a long way. But perception is not the thing that can save us here. It's actionable items and actually going in and creating the change that you want, using the collaboration, using the solidarity that you see. It's like, how many people, we have countless, how many people are on a roster now? Because I know the numbers are up now, especially considering the COVID situation, but now you have strength in numbers. And I think athletes are realizing they don't have to make this decision by themselves. We can all make a show of solidarity, but After that, what are we going to say? And you brought it up, throughout this football, basketball playoffs, all that stuff. One thing that we've missed was Naomi Osaka got asked after the U.S. Open saying that, hey, what did you intend to do, especially with having the masks of all those victims of racial violence? And she responded saying, no, the question is, what do you talk about when you see this? And I think that's sort of posing the question, not on us and our gestures, but also what are you taking away from this that makes us better for it?
Yeah, the continued response to this from everyone on the outside, the media, the fans, and all those alike, going to be the story going forward. And we'll keep an eye on and monitor that. But as we switch back to the field, coming up next, we'll figure out who should be hitting the panic meter. 1 week into the NFL season already. Burn it all down. That's next. It's Shanae Golick Jr.
Must win?
Welcome to AutoZone. Dealing with battery problems? We've got you. Let's start with a free battery test. If you just need a free charge, we can help with that too. And if it's time for a new battery, we've got you covered. We're the only place you can find Duralast, the batteries more consumers choose. That's what makes us America's #1 battery destination, where help is always in stock. Claims based on a proprietary consumer study and data from the MPD Group 2019.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Today, everyone is expecting you to maintain a new level of clean, from customers and employees to students and staff. Cintas has the essential products and services to help you carry out cleaning protocols effectively. We'll keep you well stocked with cleaning supplies, professionally laundered uniforms, and other essentials like face masks, hand sanitizer, and thermometers. Give everyone the confidence they need to keep coming back. Visit Cintas.com and get ready for the workday.
It's time for Water Cooler Talk with some interesting facts that you probably didn't need to know in sports. Well, sometimes we fight getting out of bed. Don't tell that to Ray Caldwell, who pitched a perfect game after being struck by lightning. In 1919, the Cleveland Indian pitcher shook off the rust, and by rust, a lightning bolt to get the final out for the win against the Philadelphia A's. We all know that superfan when it comes to sports. Well, Giles Pellerin took it to a whole new level. From 1929 to 1998, he went to 797 consecutive USC football games. And in 2020, there will not be the Olympics, costing about $5.2 billion. But there have been weird events, solo, synchronized swimming, but nothing come close to live pigeon shooting, which many in the South could probably relate to. But in 1900 Summer Games in Paris, this was an actual event. It entailed hundreds of pigeons being released in front of the competitors, who sat back and went to town. Well, the sport didn't fly high with the committee, and it never was an event again. This has been Water Cooler Talk in Sports. I'm Chad Brilliante.
For This Week in Sports History, I'm JP. In 1981, the Atlanta Falcons tie a record of 31 points in the fourth quarter versus the Green Bay Packers. In 1983, Oakland's Rickey Henderson has his third straight season with 100 steals. In 1991, San Diego State freshman running back Marshall Faulk rushes for an NCAA record of 386 yards and scores 7 touchdowns as the Aztecs beat Pacific 55-34. In 1994, MLB team owners vote to cancel the remainder of the 1994 season as well as the World Series for only the second time in history, continuing labor dispute with Players Association. In 1999, John Elway's number 7 jersey is retired by the Denver Broncos. And in 2003, Baltimore running back Jamal Lewis sets the NFL single-game rushing record when he runs for 295 yards and 2 touchdowns on 30 carries in the Ravens' 33-13 victory over Cleveland. That's This Week in Sports History. I'm JP.
I'm little teapot, short and stout.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
No, Dad, like this. When I get all steamed up, then I shout, tip me over and pour me out.
This is WWE superstar Roman Reigns. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
For 30 years, Thomas Home Corporation has proudly helped families build their ultimate dream home. If you're looking to customize your home, we are currently building throughout Escambia, Santa Rosa, and Okaloosa counties, and we can either build your home in one of our subdivisions or even on your own lot. Our team works with you to guide you through each step and decision in the process. Builder of the 2019 American Dream Home and Builder of the Year, Thomas Homes Corporation has built quality homes at an affordable price since 1990. Begin the process today and become one of our proud homeowners at thomashomescorp.com.
Over the last few months, we've been looking for something to do. Well, one place that has been local for years, and we are all fan favorites, has been giving us some great weekends. Five Flags Speedway, the best half-mile short track out there. Coming up October 20th, it's the ARCA 200. And in December, the biggest race around, the Snowball Derby. If you're a racing fan, you need to get to Five Flag Speedway. Proud sponsors of the Fan Zone and local football. Go to fiveflagspeedway.com to check in on all the upcoming events.
The greatest name in sports radio is ESPN. Wherever you have Alexa, you can hear ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Just say,
Alexa, enable ESPN Pensacola 1330 skill.
From quarterbacking the Pensacola High Tigers to being head coach of the Buffalo Bills, Coach K. Stevenson knows the game. And he brings his expertise to talk football with Coach K. Weekday afternoons from noon to 1 on ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi with breaking news. Hedge fund billionaire Steve Cohen has signed an agreement to buy the Mets, the sale subject to the approval of Major League Baseball team owners. NFL Jets running back Le'Veon Bell expected to miss multiple games with an injured hamstring. Cowboys linebacker Leighton Vander Esch will have surgery on his...
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Coming up on the Sports Drive, we'll get to more in the man in the yellow suit. We'll also get to, there's a hurricane on the way, so there are things more important than football. But a fun week ahead. Could have had some more exciting wins, but bad kicks and offensive PI. It is what it is.
Has just become the NFL's all-time leading rusher. Across the middle, it is caught for the first. It's Baldwin shaking free and sprinting down the sideline for the touchdown. His third of the day. Doug Baldwin.
Derek Brooks, who ran back 3 interceptions for touchdowns in the regular season, does it to cement the Super Bowl.
Boxing's elite, the new WBA heavyweight champion of the world, Roy Jones Jr.
Both been beaten. The result has come up on screens that Gatlin's taken it. Goodness me, it was a blue American vest, 992 for Gatlin. 992 by the American champion to take gold.
Another Watson is wearing a green jacket at Augusta. And this time, his name is Bubba. Scores on a 34-yard touchdown run by the Doak Walker Award winner, Trent Richardson, who broke a lot of Emmett Smith's records back in Pensacola, Florida.
And welcome to the Sports Drive right here on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM, simulcast each every day on Blab TV. I am Chad Brillante on the other side of the glass, JP, and I actually get to talk some football today, even though right when everything starts to get normal, good old hurricane, maybe a Cat 2 coming at us right now. So, you know. And no, I know somebody said earlier today this was a distraction. The economy's coming back, and there's no hurricane out there. That's fake news. There is one. News Radio 92.3, the folks downstairs, going to be a great job covering all week. They're going to be here like one of those, if the Pentagon, if under a security alert. They have the whole team down here, and they do an awesome job. So if you're out there listening, our sister station, you can hear the Florida State football games on that station. If you still are going to tune in next week or the week after when they play. But at this point, we do know that it's more important to pay attention to this hurricane coming our way. We've been lucky. We've been blessed over the last 4 or 5 years not to have to deal with a lot of what Hurricane Michael left right down the road in Panama City, or what we see in Biloxi or places even like New Orleans and what they just dealt with in Houston. But right now, we are going to have to deal with this. Maybe not dead on. I'm not a meteorologist. Plenty of people are on the beach for that. But it's something to keep an eye on. And I know the storms, school's been canceled the next 3 days. My daughter will be home, but be safe. A lot of things happening. People are wanting to get out, finally. Hurricane parties, things like that. Be safe. This is something to take serious, and it's getting stronger and stronger with the winds. JP, I know with your family and everything going on, just I hope everything goes well.
Yeah. There's obviously we know, watching Channel 3 News earlier, people out there on the beach being interviewed, and they're like, well, unless it's a Cat 3 or 4, we don't care, we ride it out. That's all well and good for people. Look, I'm not going to tell anybody, but here's the one thing. I got gun shy with Michael because, remember, Michael was coming up, and they said, well, it's supposed to turn back to the east. It's supposed to turn back to the east, and it did last second. But they kept saying, okay, well, it was supposed to have already turned by now. And look, I'm not going to say, yay, it turned, because what it did to Panama City and all those folks there, but that could have easily been us. And, we've already been through hurricanes here. So I'm gun shy. I am. Look, I'm not going to be bullheaded. So this thing, it's a slow mover. It's going to be a ton of rain. If you think it's just going to be a little bit of rain and just some light winds or whatever, that's up to you. But I would rather err on the side of caution. If you're preparing, I know right there at the BJ's gas station, it is lined up around the block. So get what you got to get. Go ahead and get in, because for the next couple, probably 48 hours solid, we're going to have quite the weather. No matter what the storm does, if it turns more to the east, well, we'll see. I mean, we pray for everybody, hope everybody's safe, and stay safe. So it is what it is.
Well, this was the first week when it comes to sports, though. We'll entertain you because I know you guys have probably spent way too much time with the Weather Channel and other things. So we're here to talk football. And some of the stuff you want to hear, you probably actually are going to get excited. Florida State, maybe earmuffs. But overall, when it comes down to the week overall, it was pretty fun to see football back. I'm not going to lie. There are still a lot of things people said they don't want to watch the NFL for protests. Look, that's fine. That's up to you. I'm going to watch it because I like football. I'm not paying attention to everything else going on. There's actually 4 or 5 teams that didn't come out of the locker room before the national anthem. I said from day one, Roger Goodell could have taken about 5 seconds and said that when everything was breaking, saying, excuse me, is this on? Okay, hold on. Okay, here's the deal. We're playing football. Just like in college football, they run out of the smoke right there with a guy like Sebastian on a motorcycle in Miami. They play football. If you're worried about the national anthem, as I would stand if somebody asked me, but we're not there to watch the 3 hours and see what they're doing. I'm there to watch them play the game, just like your Titans tonight, getting ready to go in round 2 of Monday Night Football. Double dose. Double hitter right there. Should be some fun right there. Should be a win right there.
1 hour, we got a game coming on ESPN.
Never know what you're going to get out of Denver right there. You might go from 24 degrees to 97, like they did a couple days ago. At least they're not having to deal with the hurricane. Looking at some of the stuff from the week.
Excuse you. Yep, there you go.
No, you don't. Okay, if I actually spent the time to go after the button, you don't need to grumble for me right there. But thank you. I do. You did get me on that one. You were just being a team player. If I'm going to grumble, you're going to grumble. Looking at the one thing we don't have to grumble about is Cam Newton. Now I made sure to take the man in the yellow suit and put him right here so people can see. Just like that fraudulent KC Chiefs #1 sticker when they won the Super Bowl last year. But was pretty impressed. Cash it or smash it, though. Cam Newton can survive in the type of offense running the ball 15 times the way he did long term, knowing his career and what he's been through.
No, because he's going to have to run the ball more than that against different teams. Remember, this was the Miami Dolphins. So what happens when he gets against the Bills or other teams like that, athletic defenses. And look, the Dolphins are much improved. And what Cam did, Cam was confident that he was healthy, and that's why he looked the way he did. Because when Cam has been injured before, he's been a different-looking player. He went out there like he was that spry young kid straight out of college going out there to prove somebody wrong, and he did. He played very well. I was impressed with the way he threw the football. I was impressed with the way, running the football overall. He took some hits. Can he sustain that? I don't think so, because I've been a skeptic this entire time that he was going to be able to run the football anyway. So that's just my opinion.
Well, one thing that's cool is you never thought you'd see a Belichick team running the read option.
I did not.
But we know that they're really good at finding new ways to use Cam. when it comes down to using a camera or a cam, they're pretty good at it. And they've just stayed on par with it, being able to do it once again.
They know what they're doing.
Talking about some of the other things going on from the week, looking at, when it comes out to some of the driving awards, Gardner Minshew, blowing out 19 for 20 for the Jacksonville Jaguar quarterback. And for the people out there, look, you're going to get naysayers no matter what. No matter what in life. People right now with a hurricane out there be like, you kidding me? I saw a movie on TV with Gerard Butler where there's a storm like 6 times the size of this. There's like waves going over buildings in New York, man. This is pathetic. And you're like, oh, really? Okay. Well, so just stay at home, bro. Like everybody wants to find to be a naysayer. People were bashing Gardner Minshew online and everywhere. 19 completions in the NFL? 173 yards? I'm like, yeah, bozo, on 20 passes. So the next time your son goes to play high school foosball and you're out there by the fence and he gets 150-yard run and they pull him, he doesn't come back on the game, and I'm going to go over and be like, it's like 50 yards below the team average. 50 yards, that's all he got tonight? He got 50 yards. He had 1 carry, man. That's awesome. Forget about it. Other guys getting 120 on the team. You got to look at what he did with what he was working with. The Jags give him as many throws as some of those offense when John Kitna was down by 40 in Cincinnati. He would have thrown for 500 yards. The guy can only be as efficient in breaking an NFL record for week 1 in how many passes they give him. Math McFly. I just think it's hilarious. It's a litmus test on how stupid some people are, really, when they say 19 completions? 170. He only got to throw the ball 20 times. You can only do what you do with the balls thrown your way, like a receiver. If you catch 2 catches on 2 targets for 75 yards and a touchdown, you probably had a pretty sweet game. Now, if you get 9 catches for 85 yards, but you're 18 times targeted, that's 50-50 ratio. You're going to look a lot better on that fantasy team, but come on. Minshew looked good, and you know what? Right now, the football team, nice fan base out there for our fan zone at B4 Brady's. It was a lot of fun yesterday. Good to see him. I asked them before I got going if it was okay to say Redskins, and they're all like, yeah, I got to leave them louder. So nobody was wearing the Wario W out there. Nobody is. Is anybody buying that, by the way? Have you seen anybody? You have seen somebody?
Well, no, I've seen the models online.
I've not seen one person in anywhere. Like, I know New York Nick downtown's a big Washington fan. I've not seen anybody wearing the Wario W. But the football team right now and the Jags are 1-0. Super Bowl?
Well, both of them were predicted to have 2 or 3 wins in the season, too. So that's a heck of a start. Look, for Jacksonville, great win. Here's the thing. Gardner Minshew, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. He had a problem with interceptions at a point last year. Coach K made a great point. They got rid of guys that were locker room problems. Although they were star players, they were causing disruptions among that team. You go back and watch this game, this was just a bunch of dudes that wanted to go play football. That was it. There was no attitudes. There was no nothing. They just wanted to play football. And the longer they stayed in that second quarter, when they went out there and scored 2 touchdowns in that second quarter, this literally, it's like a switch flipped on for this team, and they said, we can win this ball game. And you know this. A bad team stays in the ball game longer and longer. They believe they can win. That's a dangerous thing over a team that come waltzing in there, which I believe the Colts did, saying, we're the Colts. This is the Jags team. Is supposed to win 3 ball games this year.
You're right, but this is so sad because you're talking about this as like it's a Rudy story about the guy making the team, and these are NFL athletes. But you are right. They were a 9-point underdog at home, and they haven't done anything. It looked like a regular Jags game.
Well, look.
With the season, they had 25% capacity.
Gardner Minshew, your quarterback, rushing the ball. You got James Robinson. Gardner Minshew was second on your team. And then you got Keenan Cole, Laviska Shenault, James Robinson, and DJ Chark as your receivers there.
Devin Ozebo's coming back next week.
Yep,
so
but he wasn't there.
Let's comment, okay?
But look, this is all I'm gonna. Those are the names right there that won the football game over Phillip Rivers. Which, by the way, Phillip Rivers played well, 36 of 46. You can't. I mean, it is what it is. Nyheim Hines, Marlon Mack, who's now out for the year, Jonathan Taylor, Paris Campbell, T.Y. Hilton, Jack Doyle, household names on offense.
Yeah.
So. In a good defense with the Colts as well. Look, I think great for the Jags. Now, are they going to continue this? Probably not. I don't believe they can sustain it. Washington football team, can they continue this? Probably not. But I tell you what, that defensive line for them is absolutely nasty. But once again, we talked about this yesterday. The Eagles, those injuries on the offensive line, just too much.
Stock up, stock down here on a couple of the teams. Stock up. Got to give it up for Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals making that comeback right there. That was one people had probably already nachoed out, a couple burgers. Maybe I'm just talking about my Sunday. A couple pitchers. Only the one that you had when we were there. That was the only one, sure. Once Tracy came in.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. But when it comes down to watching the games yesterday, that was the later game, and it wasn't really televised around here. So a lot of people probably did not see that Arizona knocked off San Francisco, a team that really, I think, last year left a lot of people feeling, okay, you sort of choked away the Super Bowl, but you looked like the best overall team. And Arizona waltzes in. We're all waiting for DeAndre Hopkins and gets the W. So they're going to be a pretty impressive team. The NFC West, which was a complete clown shoot a couple years ago with Nick Mullins at quarterback and guys like that, Seattle just owned it. It was all about the Seahawks. Now you got 4 decent teams. 4 better than normal teams. I mean, the Rams go out and beat the Cowboys. Say what you want about the PI call, but that's where we were. So right now, the NFC West is looking like the best. Stock down, obviously, the way that the hype with Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski and Leonard Fournette. Think about that. I mean, those were the big offseason moves, but you think about the power of Gronk, Brady, and Fournette. And it was week 1 at New Orleans. With a crowd or without a crowd, it's still against one of the best top 5 defenses in the NFL. Drew Brees, battle of the ageless 40-year-olds right there. Guys are close to playing on the senior tour, him and Tom Brady in golf. And those are 2 guys that can battle it out. Now, Tampa didn't get completely trounced. They didn't look good in the second half, but remember, a pick 6, couple bad plays was the difference in a 34-23 game. Brady's going to have to figure it out. It's week 1 of the season. Let's all not freak out. We got to keep our composure. But you could see they weren't on the right track. What you never saw from the Tom Brady teams in New England was a ball airmailed off target like he did about 4 or 5 times. We always were used, if he made a bad throw, he would spike it in the feet of James White to try not to get sacked because he's not mobile at all. And then when it comes down to trying to go over the top, the timing of it wasn't there. But guess what? Scotty Miller and him looked like they had the best timing. Scotty Miller's a guy I think I stopped earlier. I had a conversation in the parking lot getting gas. It was something where this guy is not even a household name on a team full of legendary type names, and it's because he's that slot, do-your-job kind of guy. That's what Tom Brady's used to making it work with. And I don't know if those receivers are going to be able to be on the same page. The offensive line, Tristan Wirfs, was a huge pickup in the draft, but they still have some time. I don't know. It's going to be a tough division. I'm not ready to base everything I saw from week 1, but from what we saw, that didn't look like a Super Bowl contending team.
No, I'll be honest with you. I didn't like what I saw from New Orleans, either New Orleans or Tampa Bay. I think Tampa's going to be fine. Tom Brady's just timing. Remember, he's playing with, and you know this being a Pats fan, playing.
I made sure to wear my jacket today.
For so many years with those guys, you developed a relationship. That was the problem with this Patriots team down the road, was these guys were leaving and now other guys were coming in. They couldn't get on the same page with each other. Brady has too much talent there. And for people like you were talking about, people that are like, yep, Brady's too old. Brady looked comfortable in some instances there. He's figuring out this offense. Bruce Arians did the right thing. He threw Tom Brady under the bus because you know what? Belichick pulled that before, and that's the stuff that fuels Brady. Like, you're going to call me out in front of all these other people, put a chip on his shoulder. If anything, New Orleans in the second half was very stagnant. I mean, they got helped out by Brady. Now, great defensive play. The field goals, things like that, it's all well and good. But these are 2 really good teams. That's all I'm going to say. If Tampa's fine. Tampa's going to be okay. For New Orleans, this was a great win because you're going to be battling to win that division. You need to take the game away from Tampa.
Do you still think it was a good comment when Bruce Arians, his tires were found slashed this morning in the parking lot when they got back to St. Pete? Still a good comment?
Yeah. What happens to Bruce Arians?
Tom's like, whoops, what happened over? No, that didn't happen. Giselle has a pocket now. Wait. Looking at some of the other stuff, stock down, clearly Florida State. We'll get to more on this game, but look, you can say what you want about the quarterback. That could have been it with Mike Norvell. But when you hold a team to 16 points in a college football game, when you're supposed to be an up-tempo offense anyway at home. If you're not named Clemson or Notre Dame, who's now officially 1-0 all time, the ACC. If you're not named Notre Dame or Clemson in that division or in that conference, you should never lose a game when you hold an opponent under 20 points. I mean, that's fair in college football and today's rules. So, offense looked good. I mean, offense for Georgia Tech did make some plays, but there's no excuse for losing a game. And they look lost. They just flat out look lost. And I don't think y'all blame the coach. I don't know if it's all the players, the shortened time that they had, but it looked bad. And for Florida State right now, it's going to take some time. The bigger news, 2 people voted them for the top 25. So if we're going to do some intel, like Elias Bureau does, try to find these 2 clowns and then call them to get them on the show to see, put your money where your mouth is, because how much did you have to drink this week based on that 2 people voted Florida State into the top 25. On that note, let's take a break. Sports Drive coming back for more right here on ESPN Pensacola and Blab TV.
Ferocious flavor has landed at Tropical Smoothie Cafe. It's bold, it's different, it's refreshing, it's dragon fruit. We're using real dragon fruit to blend up our fearsomely flavorful new dragon fruit smoothie. Try one today, paired with a fan favorite Super Green Caesar chicken wrap or a Chipotle Chicken Club flatbread for a powerfully tasty combo. Slay your cravings at Tropical Smoothie Cafe. Eat better, feel better.
Hitting the road this summer? Do what truck drivers do. Bring plenty of 5-Hour Energy. You'll get the alert, energized feeling you need to get where you're going and do everything you want to do when you get there. It's small, light, and portable, like it was made for road trips. Just crack it open, knock it back, and keep both hands on the wheel. Because when it comes to road trips...
Are we there yet?
Safety comes first. 5-Hour Energy. Energy on the go. For more information, visit 5hourenergy.com.
It's time for some straight talk. You know what a full court press is in basketball, right? Full defensive coverage with no holes. Well, that's the kind of coverage you get with Straight Talk Wireless. It runs on America's best networks, same as big carriers, but for a lot less. Just $45 a month gets you the unlimited plan with 25 gigs of high-speed data, then 2G, for up to 50% less than the big carriers. No contract, full coverage, 50% less. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise. Savings may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
Capital One knows life doesn't alert you about your credit card.
Hey, Couch Surfers, we've got nonstop tunes to keep you rocking while you work. Oh, and Colleen, yes, you Colleen with a K. Your free trial of Movie Plus ends tomorrow, and your card may be charged. Do you want to continue or cancel?
So meet Eno, the Capital One assistant. Eno looks out for surprise charges, like when free trials expire, and helps if you need to fix them. Eno, another way Capital One is watching out for your money when you're not. Capital One, what's in your wallet? Limitations apply.
2020's been a pretty crazy year, and when you lock up your business or tuck in your kids, you want to feel secure. But nobody has time to wait for operators. You need local security, and Panhandle Alarm has been that option for over 40 years. Panhandle Alarm installs proven equipment, which virtually eliminates false alarms. Their 24-hour call service is local with over 50 professional trained employees. When it comes to feeling secure, isn't it nice to know that a neighbor has your back? Give them a call today at 478-2108 and keep your family and business safe with Panhandle Alarm.
We do sports, and that's all we do. We're your hometown sports station, ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
See you driving round town with the girl I love, and I like forget you. I just a change in my pocket wasn't enough.
Welcome back, Sports Drive, ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. What is that face? You're not a fan of that?
You know.
Let's leave in a moment of, we've got a lot of things, could be devastation in the area, you know, if they can just leave with one of my dances right there. That bird call dance, it's all you need. Cam Newton with the win right there. Let's go over a couple of the headlines from the day and print it or shred it over here. Don't worry about the typewriter. It's not that important. But overall, this is where I put a spin on a couple of the headlines from the week in the NFL. You can tell me whether we can print it as the editor or not. So it all falls on you, okay? And for the people out there, just go with it. These are headlines that sports gives you. Don't blame the messenger. All right, for the first one here, let's kick it off. We'll do something easy, nice and easy. Denver comes back down 19 in the NBA. Getting Game 7 now. Not too many. Put it in the middle of the NFL. I had no clue that game was even at 2:30. I got home and saw that they had lost. Yeah, that was yesterday.
I promise you, I did not know at all.
I got home and I was like, what? I wanted to watch that actually with Kawhi and all the guys. Wow. Nothing. I didn't even know it existed. And but here it is. So Denver comes back down 19 to force Game 7. Headline in tomorrow's paper in Denver: these Nuggets aren't ready to get clipped just yet.
Wow.
Fair? Are we going to get that across? Let's do it.
What newspaper is this?
Whatever you'd like.
Can we put it in the Enquirer? Yeah.
You can move it on. As the editor, you can call out.
Because they put everything in there, so yeah.
Denver come back from down 19. These Nuggets aren't ready to get clipped just yet. Moving on to another one here. DeAndre Swift drops a game winner versus the Bears. DeAndre gives the Lions a swift kick to the – and then just ... after the W.
Yeah, he choked.
Yeah.
They should have won that ball game. I mean – that's the one.
Gosh, you can't drop that ball.
You're
As
too
a rookie,
open.
And think about it too. Like that play right there gets you like dinner. The offensive line are going out with you that night if they can separate. Hopefully spreading it out. But it's Motown. They're out there.
Yeah, they're fine.
So they're out there. Swift could have been the man overnight. The Georgia connection, them dogs talking with Stafford and Swift, a chance to do something, and the ball hits them right there. It wasn't. There's some balls that are dropped that people
Too
like.
open.
That's as easy as a catch gets.
So I'm saying it's always that too open.
And what was the thing during the draft where, remember we were talking about it, and I even said, the one thing they can utilize is Theo Riddick's getting old and he's gone. So he's going to become, even if Kerryon Johnson, if they used AP, he can be the guy that always comes through with the big catches. Like nothing on that. There it was. Maybe he was still crying. Uga's not going to be on the sidelines.
By the way, so I like that one. AP in a Lions jersey. I know he swapping. That was weird, but I like it. 14 carries, 93 yards.
None of those guys. By
AP
the way,
would have caught it.
Did you see the? That's true. Did you see the NFL? Anybody would have caught it. If we're playing like you're throwing the pigskin at Thanksgiving, and Nana comes out there to catch it, like I'd be like, come on, man,
bodies it up.
It hits right in the chest. Yeah. Could have been a seal. Like no arms and done one of these collapsing onto the ball and should have caught the ball. There's no excuse for that at all. One of those old offensive line. Remember the old defensive linemen that would have a cast around their arm and they'd try to catch the ball that got tipped in the air? That looked like it right there. All right, continuing here, print it or shred it. We'll go with an easier one here. Nice and easy. Yellow Jackets with a 16-13 win over in Atlanta. This one stings. More that would be a Tallahassee paper. That doesn't make. I would say Tallahassee.
Yeah, I feel like that's the one you get in the small town local paper.
Yeah.
For your high school. Yeah,
very obvious. Yeah. Very generic, corny, right there, cheesy. But this one stings, which sets me up for the next one right there. Well, 43-34, Green Bay with the win over Minnesota. Pressure's on Cousins. Headline: Cousins looks up and sees nothing but Packers. Cousins looks up and sees nothing but Packers. He just was getting hit all game long. Are we going to print that? Get it by the editor. It's your choice here. Are we going to shred it? You can. That's why it's print or shred it.
I'm going to shred that one.
Cousins looks up and sees nothing but Packers.
I'm shredding that one.
Okay. That's up to you. Go with the nice and easy one once again here. That's, hey, listen.
Got to find a new job.
Listen, Carson, after getting sacked a few times, Carson wincing in pain from Daron Payne getting hit. Is that fair? This is more easy?
Yeah. Easier.
Easier than this one here. After 8 sacks from Washington from their best players, Montez Sweat, Ryan Kerrigan, and Chase Young, Washington all about the sacks with Young and Sweat.
Yeah, let's just print it.
Let's go ahead and print that. Washington all about the sacks with Young, Sweat, ... Here we go. That's your printer shredded headlines from the week. How about that? Ho, 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 ho. That's, I told you. Listen, hey, this is what sports gives you on that. No, you're not. You're fine.
Oh, wait, I write for the Enquirer. I can print anything I want.
This is what you do. If somebody ever felt like, whoa, did they say that? This is what you say. Denver, all about the hits with Thompson and Morgan. Does that even make anybody laugh or anything? It's exactly what it would have been the same. Just change out the names. Sorry. Sorry for the creativity there. That's.
How dare you?
We'll go with that. I know. Go back to these Nuggets. Aren't ready to get clipped just yet. We'll just go back to that one.
Yeah, solid.
Inquire. Coming back for more. Brett Baird. We'll ask Brent about these.
Go Gators, yeah.
Go to Gators. Big news, actually, for Gator fans. C.J. Henderson, for the Jags, actually had the best rating. Somebody's up there has way too much time on their hand, but they're putting stats in for the best cornerback of the week.
He's getting paid more than us, though, to do that.
I was going to say Henderson. I mean, the guy I was going to say. I was like, wait a second. He better be. But, how about that? So it wasn't
Gators.
just about, there you go. Go Gators. Go Gators.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control of your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problem now by calling the experts at U.S. Tax Shield and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, so call now. 800-687-5192. That's 800-687-5192. U.S. Tax Shield. 800-687-5192.
Welcome to AutoZone. Dealing with battery problems? We've got you. Let's start with a free battery test. If you just need a free charge, we can help with that too. And if it's time for a new battery, we've got you covered. We're the only place you can find Duralast, the batteries more consumers choose. That's what makes us America's #1 battery destination, where help is always in stock. Claims based on a proprietary consumer study and data from the MPD Group 2019.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
This is Davis Allen from Sports Call with Davis and Justin, and you're listening to the Sports Drive with Chad Brilliante on ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Rumors spread around in that Texas town about the shack outside the game. You know what I'm talking about. Just let me know if you're gonna go to that home out on the range. They got a lot of nice girls.
Welcome back. Sports Drive, ESPN Pensacola. 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Chad Brilliante, JP, and joining us now to talk college football. Actual games going on. A lot of good upsets, too. If you look at the top 25, we'll get to those and more with teams like Lafayette. Nice call there, JP. As well with Army, 2-0, and more. So,
Go Knowles. Yeah, that's what you were. That's what you were. You were wanting to get to.
Joining us now, I'm surprised he is not at one of the house parties, social distancing with Gardner Minshew after the victory yesterday. But Brent Baird joins us from Jacksonville, 1010XL Radio, First Coast News, Florida Gators, everything from Georgia football and more. Brent, it's good to sit down and actually get to watch a full weekend of football. I'm not sure if every wife and every family love it, but it has been a nice Saturday and Sunday to watch a ton of football.
I watched Saturday from noon to past midnight, and it was wonderful to say the least. So, but I mean, what the Sun Belt did was very impressive. I mean, obviously Clemson played well, and you had some other very interesting games that came about. Houston Baptist throwing for almost 600 yards on Texas Tech. What does that tell you about their defense? But at the same time, and some of these schools really took advantage of the window, didn't they, Chad? Particularly Arkansas State and the Sun Belt did a wonderful job. Coastal Carolina beating Kansas. I'm not sure really, merciful heavens, if that's even an upset, but Louisiana Lafayette was very good too, and man, there wasn't any doubt about that. So a lot of exciting things to watch this weekend.
Yeah, they look really good. Right before we made those selections this week, JP was talking about he's sitting right here. I'm speaking on behalf of him. But he was talking about that Lafayette was returning pretty much their whole team, and it showed yesterday or on Saturday how they played. But quote of the week for sure goes to a guy I know, Brent, you've worked with before. He's just a smart guy. I've met him a couple times at media days. But Brett McMurphy, when he tweeted out, "Impressive showing by Georgia Tech not to overlook Florida State for next week's matchup against UCF."
Yeah, that's classic.
I didn't
look.
That was. I love that. I loved every minute of that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. And look, that's a for UCF. That's certainly a real opportunity. But I'll say this for Tech. Jeff Collins has come in. The Sims kid at quarterback, Jeff Sims, really did a really good job. 23 to 34 for 277, ran for 64. He made some dumb mistakes, but he made up for it. But guys, I can tell you, if you're FSU, it's the thing you're concerned about. It is the reality of in that game, Georgia Tech in the fourth quarter was tougher than Florida State, and they wanted it more. That should never happen, should it?
No, it shouldn't. And Sims did look good, and I know a lot of people immediately got to Twitter and were saying that, well, Sims, Norvell went to his house and said, we don't need you on the team. I understand all of that, but they scored 16 points. And if you're at home with that offense, and you had so many chances too, at the end of the game, you can feel a vibe. Like when Joe Burrow, even at the end, I think Cincinnati Bengals have a lot of problems, but when they allowed Joe Burrow to be Joe Burrow, he was making perfect pinpoint passes for the Bengals, driving them right down the field against the decent defense in the Chargers. That looked like Joe Burrow. You trust people like Mahomes to win big games for you. When James Blackman had the ball in any 3rd down and 5, at the end on 4th and 2, there was a feeling of, wow, this team looks lost. They look completely lost. And even the final pass of the game was one that the receiver didn't even turn around yet, and he was thrown to a spot that was 5 feet away. When really, when you're 6'5", you should be able to pick up 2 yards against a Georgia Tech defense by just going a few yards and picking up the first, like a lot of people would do anyway. They have a lot of work to do, and frankly, I've seen enough of James Blackman at this point where I would rather, for now, until Purdy is ready to come back or whatever path they go, I would rather see them run a wildcat and get used to running an option attack with Travis than to see James Blackman if I'm a Seminole fan at this point.
Well, if Purdy had been healthy, Chad, he would have played and may become the starter. Several things here to unpack real quick. One is Blackman has basically reached his limit. You don't need to call the play for Blackman outside of 25 yards. They threw passes. They were low percentage passes, 50 yards down the field, and he's just not accurate. The offensive line, listen, as bad as they are, they actually showed a little bit of improvement at times. That was important for them to be able to do that. Now, but they've still got a long way to go. Asante Samuel is a big time player in a lot of ways, but the thing that's got to be changed. If you're a Florida State football player right now, you're thinking, we got the lead in a close game late, how are we going to lose it? So my question is, and we don't know the answer yet, guys, but how does Mike Norvell, who actually does have a clue compared to Willie Taggart, how does Mike Norvell get this team to change their mental outlook?
Yeah, I completely agree. And will the players buy into Mike Norvell? That's been a problem in the past, and this is with that offseason, with things going on with Marvin Wilson and those guys, and Tamari and Terry, and then I forget the other receiver anyway, saying they haven't been truthful. There's been a lot of drama, but I agree with you too, Brent. That offensive line, it's it's a stepping stone process. I mean, this is going to take some time to rebuild. The good thing for Florida State fans is I think they got the right coach there. That is 100%. But, Brent, I want to stay in the ACC here. Obviously, we got to watch Miami play a little bit. We got to watch North Carolina. Clemson and Wake Forest, the score doesn't even dictate how much of a blowout that game was. And Clemson, by the way, once again, continues to play everybody. That's just that's what you know, when you go to Clemson, if you're the third string defensive tackle, you better be able to play because you're going to play. And so outside of Clemson, I think it's obvious Clemson, we know how good they are. But looking at Miami, looking at Louisville, you know, they snuck by their game a little bit. They didn't look bad. North Carolina sleptwalked there for a little bit. The defense I still have a question with. Who in your mind I know it's just week one, but who in your mind is maybe the even Notre Dame? You know, Duke played them well. Who is number 2 and 3 in the ACC in your mind?
I would go with Louisville because I just think Scott Satterfield's that good. He doesn't have the players that he needs. Mikal Cunningham, 19 of 34, 43 touchdowns. That's a great day, to say the least. And again, and I tell you, I give Miami some credit. Cameron Harris had a good game, under 34 yards rushing. And then Derek King, I think it shows that he could, and we're beginning to live up to the hype. North Carolina wasn't as sharp as they needed to. Look, don't be surprised, that Charlotte team's pretty good. That may give them a little bit of trouble this weekend, too. Michael Carter ran the ball for 78 yards from North Carolina. Notre Dame, Ian Book wasn't great, but he was 19-31 for 263 and a pick. I give Duke some credit. They actually stayed in that game for a while all the way. So I would say for right now, Louisville, or certainly the winner of the Miami-Louisville game, is going to be, and then you could split hairs between a Notre Dame, frankly, and North Carolina at this point. But I tell you what, I'm not saying they will, but if Georgia Tech continues to win, they may get a sniff of that number 2 also.
Brent, speaking with Brent Baird of College Sports Notebook, you can follow him on Twitter at Brent Baird, Beaird. Now, you get to follow Florida and Georgia. C.J. Henderson did an incredible job going from Florida, drafted to Jacksonville, and actually had the best rating of any cornerback in all the NFL after week 1. But the Jags get a win. Now, no knock. It seems to be what it is, but they were the only team with fans. It looked very eerie and similar to their normal crowd, even though it was supposed to be at, 25%? Yes. But when you watch that game, they win, and nobody was giving them any credit. Now, it's week 1, and there was no preseason. But the Jags, the football team, and the Arizona Cardinals are all 1-0, beating teams that a lot of people saw them have no business beating. Are people waking up this morning and what you saw? Are they excited now about Jags football, or are they a little bit skeptical just after just 1 week?
Well, they need to be skeptical because this is still not a good roster. I mean, it's just not. And it will catch up to them. I mean, the rookies, like Henderson, played well, but the league figures rookies out by the middle of the league in the season. You're right on the crowd. The problem here is it's either all or nothing. It's either they're not going to win a game, or they're either we're 1-0, we're going to Super Bowl. So there's never any real common sense here as far as really dealing with this team. The amazing thing about it is the Colts have lost 6 in a row here in Jacksonville. And Rivers continues to throw interceptions here for some reason. They play the Titans next week, and they will probably get run over at that point. But the reality is that they've gotten rid of a lot of their problem children, like Leonard Fournette, who I think had 5 yards yesterday. And they right now it's kind of fool's gold for them, but the people, or at least some of them, are enjoying it. But I think they realize that this roster is not a roster that's a playoff roster, and when they get into the meat of the schedule and have a few injuries, it will catch up with them pretty quickly.
Brent, we're sort of in a melting pot here in Pensacola. Obviously, it's football when it comes to teams that we get to cover in this area, as you know, with LSU, Alabama, Florida, Florida State, and Auburn. Plus, UWF just won a national title last year in Division II, and we got teams like South Alabama getting better, Troy, all around us. But when it comes down to in the NFL or NBA, we don't have a team in our own backyard. The Saints would be the closest, but we root all the way across the board. You get to cover Georgia. Now, they had a dog connection right there that could have ended the game for the Detroit Lions with Matthew Stafford. It seems like every game Matthew Stafford has ever played in the NFL comes down to a final 2-minute drive. I can't be the only one. But when it comes down with Matthew Stafford, he drives the field, and he throws the ball perfectly to DeAndre Swift, the rookie, who could have made the big impact right there. Brent, you got to cover and watch Swift throughout his career. He was one of those guys that would fit today's NFL game because he can catch out of the backfield. What did you think when you saw that this week?
Well, I still think if they're patient with Swift, that he will be a fine player. I mean, if he stays healthy, I think he's got enough that when he can get into the open field, he can kick it to another gear. I think he can lower his shoulder when he needs to. So patience, I think would certainly be required for him.
Brent, looking right now at college football to stay on Georgia after the announcement that you had a quarterback that everybody was a lot of hype on, Jamie Newman, and he ends up saying he's going to opt out to go pro. What is the latest in whether JT Daniel or who will be the starting quarterback going into week 1 in 2 weeks for the Dogs?
I'll tell you what's interesting is there's a little bit of talk about DeJuan Mathis having stepped up and to make a run for the job too. Now JT Daniels is still hasn't even been cleared. I mean that's coming sooner than later. So I think it's a battle between those two. The truth of the matter is, Newman just simply, we had a situation with him, guys, that he got beat out for the job. I mean, him opting out was nothing more than he had an awful scrimmage, and it looked like that he was going to be way behind the 8 ball, but. I mean, you think Mathis would get the job, but here's the reality of that. What a story that it would be if Dwayne Mathis got that job after having brain surgery and not knowing what his future would be. That would be one of the classic stories that we've seen in quite a while.
Brent, looking right now at what we've seen so far in the early part of the season, you have a couple teams that are trying to make an impact, and the SEC hasn't played yet, but the Big Ten now talking about being optimistic of playing in October. Frankly, I think a lot of us, and even the people like Jim Harbaugh and coaches that were bitterly disappointed, thought they could play a while back. What do you think is the actual percent chance, though, that this goes through with a lot of the members being confident that they can get to an October deal?
I think at this point they are going back because they're going to give you some spin about, we're going back because the testing is much better than what we thought it was going to be. Well, here's the reality of that. They're going back because they're scared to death of these lawsuits. That's the reason they're going back. And the sooner they can make this announcement, the better they're going to be, instead of messing around the way they have. They made one of the worst mistakes, if not the worst, in college football history. And one of the ways that they could rectify that would be to go back. Now, again, there are all kinds of rumors today. Will all the teams go back? Will just part of the teams go back? That's hard to say at this point, but all the presentations, the presidents seem to be on board with the safety protocol that's being followed and so forth. But believe me, there would be an official reason they're going back, in the unofficial reason for going back is quite different.
Brent, JP's got a question, but I got to interrupt him real quick to say he just asked a question. We smelled something like it might be burning in the studio, and he said one more question for Brent. So that's our dedication.
That's how important
that's
you
how
are to me,
important
Brent.
your Monday interview is to us. There could be something going on underneath here, and one more question.
I don't hear the fire alarm, so we still got
No,
time to talk
that's
to
what
Brent.
I'm saying. So-
Brent, I do. Speaking and look, it's
I can
funny because
smell
it
it
made
more
me
now.
think of this. Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. I got a buddy of mine that sent me a picture. Saying it was on fire. Is the stadium okay? I think it was like a maintenance tractor or something, but is everything all right?
Yeah, that was it. But boy, listen, can you imagine when the Gators are either behind or, heaven forbid, lose a game this year? How that meme is going to be used on Twitter over and over again. So, but there was another good one that was something akin to Spurrier must have had a rough back nine and decided to set one of the golf carts on fire.
Well, I think we're excited. I think we learned a couple things from college football. It was great to watch it, but over the week, without SEC football, without some of those Florida versus Georgias or the Auburn versus Alabama, the LSU games against Texas A&M, without those games.
The Arkansas versus Vandy.
No, not that one. I did not get to that. But overall, though, it was a week where it was okay to watch the games, but I'm sitting there watching Duke Notre Dame. I know Jeff Wayne was pumped. I was texting him. He's a big fan. But overall, it wasn't the same. Brent, I mean, I couldn't be the only one thinking that.
Well, and I get that, and I understand it, frankly. But again, it's just so good to have football, and that they are getting through it, and without a whole lot of COVID cases or without a whole lot of difficulties. Now, it will certainly ramp up in a couple of weeks when the SEC plays. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And by the way, to leave you with a couple of notes, for LSU, it's good news that Tyler Shelvin, the defensive nose tackle, and is thinking about coming back, and Neil Farrell, the defensive lineman, is coming back. So that's incredibly good news for them. The real difficult news over the weekend was Jamon Asborn at A&M, one of the best receivers in the nation, is opting out. So that's very difficult for them. We'll really hurt Jimbo down the line. So plenty still going on in the SEC, guys.
Brent, looking forward to talking some SEC football. We're 2 weeks away, but football is back, and the weekends feel a lot better. 2 games tonight and Monday Night Football. Thanks for joining us here today. If we don't talk to you next week, we will become marshmallow s'mores. So I hope you have a good one, Brent.
Well, our prayers for this hurricane will hurry on through, and you'll be okay.
Thanks again, Brent. We appreciate it. You guys know too much about that. Have a good one. All right. We're coming back for more sports. Well, we might. I'm going to go check what's downstairs. We'll see. Let's go to break.
Locally owned Jackson Pace Pharmacy has exciting news for ED patients. Tadalafil, the FDA-approved generic for Cialis, is now here, and the cost savings are huge. Save 80% on the 20-milligram tablets, 30 tablets for $80, less than $3 a pill. A prescription from your doctor is required, so stop by Jackson Pace Pharmacy, 2256 West 9 Mile Road in Pensacola, and cash in on the savings today.
It's time for some straight talk. You know what covering your bases is in baseball, right? Making sure you have no holes in your defense. Well, that's the kind of coverage you get with Straight Talk Wireless. And you'll pay up to 50% less than big carriers and still use their same networks. Just $45 a month gets you the unlimited plan with 25 gigs of high-speed data and 2G. No contract, no mystery fees. Fully covering your bases for 50% less. Straight Talk Wireless, only at Walmart. Savings may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
For summer DIY projects, you know the Home Depot's always in your corner. Now with our mobile app, it can also be in the palm of your hand. With digital tools like image search, snap a picture of something. It'll recognize it and serve up product suggestions in seconds. And our product locator will check availability and lead you right to it. The Home Depot mobile app. Download it today to get started. Only from the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Pensacola's own NFL Hall of Famer Emmitt Smith has some tips for us during this time.
This fight is up to all of us to try to help bend that curve. It's going to take teamwork. It's going to take us to stay committed, stay focused, and stay dedicated to the mission at hand, and that is to keep everyone safe. So be encouraging. Find some support. Find someone to talk to every day to encourage them to keep on continuing in this fight. And we will beat this pandemic.
Hear ye, hear ye. I bringeth thee a message from... a message from the king and his new trumpeter, Stephen. The king wishes me to convey his favor to thine team and thine tailgate. Not yet. He invites thee to let the Bud Light flow forth. And he also wishes me to tell thee that he toasts thee. Waiteth until the end, Stephen! With game day's favorite light lager and the slogan of his kingdom... Oh, dilly dilly.
Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer, AB, St. Louis, Missouri.
ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Pensacola's home to hometown sports, covering the biggest high school games. UWF football, catching every game of the Pensacola Blue Wahoos. Plus, local sports commentary with the Sports Drive with Chad Brillante. And weekend sports talk with Davis Allen and Justin Patrick on the Sports Call. We are local. We are ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
The players, the teams, the games, the front office. We cover breaking sports news. If you miss it on your radio, check out the latest on Facebook or online at ESPNpensacola.com.
Northwest Florida, this is Max Kellerman from First Take, and now the host of The Max Kellerman Show. Catch my show every weekday afternoon from 1 till 2 on Pensacola's home for hometown sports. ESPN Pensacola 1330, 99.1 FM.
The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mambo number 5. One, two, three, four, five. Everybody in the car, so come on, let's ride to the liquor store around the corner. The boys say they want some gin and juice, but I really don't wanna.
Little Mambo number 5 coming back on a football week. Welcome back. I know a lot of things going on. For all of your news, keep it tracked on 92.3. They've got the whole crew down there working. Really, when it comes to hurricanes, we've been with the station now for about 3 years here at ADX. And when it comes down to covering news radio, even when it was just 1620 before the FM, I remember tuning in. But the whole entire news staff does an incredible job. I know they're running around here today. More important things going on. Make sure to do the things that I usually don't in procrastinating, like get gas. Don't take all the SpaghettiOs. You don't need that. Come on now. But make sure to prepare because this thing is heading east quickly. If you want a couple minutes away from watching people on the beach, standing there with mics, we'll be here for you. We're prepared to go live tomorrow. I know school's canceled, but we'll see. Right now, we're going to finish the show. I know Blab TV will be getting ready right now, Storm Prep, but let's take that as the number one thing right now is to be safe out there and take this serious. Once sports starts, a lot of people on this network listening are just thinking about parlays they want to take on baseball games or the doubleheader in the NFL football games. Let's remember that there is a hurricane that's headed towards Biloxi and heading east that is now Category 2. I'm basing that nothing but a text from Jeffrey D. But if anybody texts me and I'd be willing to read something on air that I have not done any research myself, it'd be from Jeffrey D.
Yes.
So there you go.
Agree.
That's probably I'd live a lot safer life if we went that way.
Yeah.
It's not fake news either. It's a real hurricane. It's not trying to stop the economy or anything.
It's we're about to start getting.
I did see somebody say that. Oh man, it's all part of the ploy, man. Football's coming back, the economy. It's a fake news swirler out there. Be like, all right, you know what, guy? Maybe you should stay at your house then.
Oh no, go to the beach.
Maybe
go
they
jump
should
in the water.
No, go ahead and stay at your house. Yeah, go surfing. Go take the kids. Get one of those
No, don't take the kids. Don't take the kids.
No, that's
Just
true.
him.
That's true.
Just him.
Well, they might have
to.
They might have other offspring after that. Maybe just
take the kids out of it. They'll learn.
Natural selection. Looking at some of the stuff from the weekend that was not just football. Yes, that happened. Well, Alec Mills. No hitter. How about that? Cubs Sunday, second of the year. Both came from Chi-Town right there.
Nope.
Now, what is this? How? Okay, Salty McGee over here. What is the nope on this? Why was it a no? Why are you giving a guy a nope on a no-hitter?
It's Cubs. Next question. Says a Patriots fan that was one
pitchers.
of the most
We got our pitcher brethren.
saltiest of the salt over here. And I'm not rooting for the guy because he's a Cubs pitcher. Yeah, cool. You got a no-hitter.
If a
but
Yankee
I'm not rooting for
pitched a no-hitter,
no,
I would clearly give a thumbs up that I didn't agree with, but I wouldn't have said no. I would have just been like that and then moved on to the next question.
I disagree, but that's fine.
All right, I probably would have. Heat and Celtics just waiting around right now as they get set to go for the East. It's coming down to Game 7. As we talked about earlier, Nuggets not ready to get clipped just yet. Big comeback, down 19. We'll get to all the big games in college football and more. Thanks for tuning in. Be safe out there. There's a Category 2 hurricane right down the road.
This is ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Pensacola's home for hometown sports. Your home to talk football with Coach K. Sports Drive with Chad Brillante and Sports Call with Davis Allen. If you'd like to partner with ESPN Pensacola or become a sponsor, just give us a call at 262-6000.
You're listening to ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Coming up on the Sports Drive, we'll get to more from a busy weekend in the NFL. After 1 week, it could be, well, the Jags and the football team. How about that? What a Super Bowl that would be.
Emmitt Smith has just become the NFL's all-time leading rusher. Across the middle, it is caught for the first. It's Baldwin shaking free and sprinting down the sideline for the touchdown. His third of the day. Doug Baldwin. Derek Brooks, who ran back 3 interceptions for touchdowns in the regular season, does it to cement the Super Bowl. Boxing's elite, the new WBA heavyweight champion of the world, Roy Jones Jr. Ball's been beaten. The result has come up on screens that Gatlin's taken it. Goodness me, it was a blue American vest, 992 for Gatlin. 992 by the American champion to take gold. Another Watson is wearing a green jacket at Augusta. And this time, his name is Bubba. Emma scores on a 34-yard touchdown run by the Doak Walker Award winner, Trent Richardson, who broke a lot of Emmitt Smith's records back in Pensacola, Florida.
Welcome back, Sports Drive on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
The hell was that? It was like a kangaroo in the
It
apocalypse.
was a digital kangaroo in Apocalypse. Okay, so just to let everybody in on what's happening here at 6 o'clock, Blab TV. If this is going out on air with them now, we're watching right now. But 6 o'clock, we're checking in because they're going in right now. Oh yeah, that's clearly not today's show.
No, that is Friday.
There's Emery right there. That's it. You don't look like Emery? Okay, all right. And I'm clearly not wearing a suit right now. I'm wearing the Italian zip-up. Okay, people, look at
Emery
this.
looking fly. How about that?
No, he
always
was,
looks good.
He
Everywhere
always does that when he comes to see me.
I guess when you're a star at Clemson and stuff, I get that.
When he's coming to work with me, he always dresses for the – he was really excited to no, Emery, man, was in a good mood. And we were trying to get Fred. I realized later Fred Robbins was actually down at the event for the Eagles in the outfield again. Marty Stanovich, I saw them out there hitting some balls. And Fred, but I wanted to try to get the whole Wake versus Clemson connection thing going. Fred was ready. Somebody made him. Did you see a football? Not that you should be like looking at Fred's pictures on social media, but he had his football. Somebody made him a football cigar. It was really sweet. Like they took the grain and the one like a lighter shade of where you get the laces on top of it. It was really cool looking.
It is cool.
And it was a cigar. But you knew going to Wake, it was just
home game.
Yeah, it was not going to be.
No, and that, like I said, that score does not dictate how much of a blowout that game was. And once again, Clemson, they got all these freshman defensive linemen, and they just roll them in there. I mean, they rolled 20 guys on that line. Everybody plays all the time. It's not just in games like that. That's why Clemson has so much depth every year, is because Dabo, I mean, like I said, if you go to play at Clemson and you are a third stringer, you better be ready to play, because you're going to play at some point, unless you're the quarterback.
And another game this week that we were looking at was Florida State. Obviously, Florida State excited because it was a new start from Willie Taggart. Willie Taggart might be sitting back a little bit of a chuckle, but Willie still needed to go. At this point, you need to look at James Blackman and say he should not be a starting quarterback going forward. He had too many chances, too much optimism, and he just is not in the system right now that works for him. And there's too many guys that are better than him. Remember last year, I think what we realize now, when you look back at their situation last year, where you had a Florida State team that was trying to become something better than they had over the last couple of years, but Alex Hornibrook comes in, and Hornibrook wasn't anything special. He was a backup at Wisconsin. It's not usually where you go to pick quarterbacks from. Now, Hornibrook looked better at times, but I think now we're looking back and saying, okay, who was challenging him? And even Jordan Travis came in against Boston College and looked really good, but it was against a Boston College defense. Then when he went against Florida the next week, he couldn't break those 50-yard run against, I guess, at the time not, but now your Gators. You throwing a good
it was
Gators
in my heart.
Yeah, it was in your heart at that time.
Yeah.
So we're looking right now at a Florida State team that until they get a quarterback, it's going to be a long season. And that's simply how it is. The defense, Asante Samuel Jr. made some big plays. You had a lot of good things that you could take and build on. But even Mike Norvell looks sort of like, and I want at least my coach to have that face, that like, what the blank is happening on this football field at the end. I know you're the coach, but you can only put people in certain positions to do the right thing. On that final play, they were off. The timing was off between the wide receiver and the quarterback. He hadn't turned around yet, and Blackman was already throwing the ball, and the game was over. It's only a 2-yard play, too. They don't have a running game. They don't have that Dalvin Cook. They don't have that Warwick Dunn. They don't have that even Greg Jones. They don't have that explosive guy like a Cam Akers even to bail them out. I think we learned Cam Akers in the game they won even bailed them out of what could have even been a worse team. Now they don't have that. So if you're Florida State right now, you have to get a quarterback you believe in. You have to. And they still had a shot to win. That just goes to show you that the big Marvs and the people like Samuel, they have athletes that will keep them in games. But until they have a consistent offense, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. And they have a week at least to take some time and then get ready for Miami. But after the game, Coach Mike Norvell had this to say on the game against Georgia Tech, now falling to 0-1.
Thought our guys came out with a great deal of energy. We were able to move the ball early, but then as the course of the game went, you really struggled to sustain drives and obviously lacked the explosive play, which is something that we need to be able to have. Thought our guys battled. I was fully confident that in the 2-minute situation, we were going to be able to put ourselves in a spot to be able to win the game. But unfortunately, had a couple of mistakes that cost us there at the end as well. That kept that from being reality. But hurting for these guys, but just like I told them there in the locker room, we have to respond. Nobody wants to start like we just did. This football team does not have to be defined by tonight.
And there he was right there, as he knows. You're going to get the websites already. Someone's buying fire Mike Norvell. That doesn't need to happen today. There's going to be some time to look at them. But here's the two things I want to see if I'm a Florida State fan right now. What changes are you going to make or start to make? Because I think Purdy, we understand, is going to be the guy, but he's not 100% yet. And he's also unproven. Like, a lot of times when you're getting a guy that's hurt, but he's a guy that we've seen play, you're like, okay, when he gets back on the field, we're going to be fine. We're assuming Purdy, based on what we've seen, is going to be that guy, and he has the tools to do it, but he still has never thrown a football for Florida State in a game to be able to say that's the guy that we're going to key in on. We're still expecting results, but in college football, that gets you in trouble a lot. So we know at this point somebody's got to be better than Blackman. Florida State, can you see this season turning around after what we saw in week 1?
Yeah.
Is Georgia Tech better than the worst team, though? And
Georgia
Tech, Florida
Tech
State's the worst team right now.
Is a much improved team. Remember, this is you talked about the media said they were 15th. These are people that watch the games. Yes and no, because you know some of these media members. I look at Sports Illustrated, which is a highly regarded, news outlet for sports.
I buy one of them every year.
A lot of people look to it, and there's some people on there that are questionable at best, and they try to push their own little, I'm not going to get into that. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is Georgia Tech, this was a team last year that had a triple option team trying to run a spread offense. So just think about that for Jeff Collins and those guys last year. A nightmare. Yes, they were atrocious. They were going to be no matter what, no matter who is coaching them, unless they were going to try to run the triple option. And he was trying to move them away from that. Now he's got Jeff Sims. That was a great pickup for him because now he can start to build around him. Now, is Sims like a world beater? No. But he is a quarterback that they can move forward with, which is more than what Florida State can say right now. Now, Blackman is not horrible, but Blackman is not the guy you want going in the direction you're trying to go right now. This is a team that if you thought overnight that Florida State was going to come out and win 8 ball games this year or 7 ball games, maybe 7 at best case scenario. But remember, they're playing pretty much an all-ACC schedule. The ACC is much improved. This team was the most penalized team in college football last year. They had the worst offensive line. Now, yes, they put up 13 points. The defense played great for them. If you want to talk about a positive, look at your defense and what they were able to do hanging on as much as they were. For offense, the offensive line was a little bit more improved, but they are without guys like Cam Akers, like you said. They still have Tamari and Terry, but those guys at wide receiver don't matter until you figure out your quarterback, and they'll be okay. Once they get Chuba Purdy, all these other guys, they're going to go back to the drawing board this week. Florida State needed to play because, remember, these guys didn't have spring. They haven't been able to do anything else really because of COVID protocols. That's the case for all these teams. So, look, people that want Norvell gone, go ahead and do that, and you'll keep doing this carousel, and you'll be the joke of the ACC for quite some time. Norvell is a coach that you need to settle on, understand, look at his track record. He is going to build this, but he has to have support from the players. Now, remember, some of these players, they don't like that whole, because Norvell came in and said, you're going to do it my way, and we're going to get better. A lot of the players are like, nah, bro, that's not how it works here. And that's been part of the problem at Florida State. So give it time. They will improve this year. They've already improved in the first game. It was ugly. You lost to Georgia Tech. That's not going to look good to anybody. But there were bits and pieces of that game where you look at positions like the offensive line and you go, that is a little bit better than last year.
It's going to be they weren't expected to win it all this year. And most fans understand it's going to take a little bit of time. But it's also there's unacceptable losses. And to me, this isn't you were just saying. I'm not at all saying fire Mike Norvell. I've watched Mike Norvell. He's a really good coach. And this wasn't just 1 year. This was over a 4 or 5 year stint with Memphis that every single year they were right there toe for toe against UCF that say what you want, but we got a fake national title parade people. But it comes down to looking at games that you just can't lose. And regardless of COVID, regardless of short time to get ready before making a coach with the whole Big Game Bob thing back in the fun year of 2019, all of that, there's still zero excuse for them to lose that game. And, we look at the plays to...
See, that's where I'll disagree, though.
That's okay.
You're going by media.
No, I'm going
solely by media.
No, I'm going by if I never looked at 15 by 15, there's, regardless of Georgia Tech, I'm giving you a danger zone group that you can't lose to if you're Florida State and expect anything throughout the season that's going to be. Now, they can change it around, But you can't lose to Georgia Tech. You can't lose at home to Wake. You can't lose to Boston College, and you can't lose to NC State. To me, those are the 4 teams. If I'm out there, you just cannot lose at home. It used to be Virginia, but they're a better team. I'll give you that. UNC, Virginia Tech, teams like that, borderline games. Louisville. The before mentioned, you cannot lose at home to those teams and expect your fan to be excited about anything. You used to beat those teams by 40 and 50 points, and it's different times. But even with a horrible game from Blackman, those are the games that you used to look back, like Notre Dame-Duke. Perfect example. Notre Dame-Duke, Notre Dame did not look great. But they go back and say, yeah, we still found a way to win by 2 touchdowns. That's what Florida State should be saying with their athletes.
Because they have a top 10 recruiting class, though.
But
There's
Florida
different
State has been
athletes.
Florida State has 4- and 5-star recruits on that team. Nobody else, they don't have that at Georgia Tech.
What's been their recruiting classes the past couple of years? 40s and 50s?
But there are guys. Georgia Tech doesn't have a guy that's Big Marvin Wilson. They don't have an Asante Samuel. They don't have those guys.
These teams are equal. That's what I'm trying to say. They're both the biggest thing is the offensive line problems and the locker room issues, the penalties. Those are things that you just can't turn around because it's a new season. Like Norvell, look, he's got his work cut out for him, but it's different if, like you look at it, you can say it's James Blackman all day long, and I'll agree that they does not help. But it's all the other things that are involved in this. They're off-season. It's going to take time. These guys have to buy in, and after watching them, some of them you can tell these guys are getting better. There's some guys that I feel like are on the fence, and I think Norvell's going to make some changes. I understand what you're saying, but Georgia Tech and Florida State are a lot alike, whether people want to admit it or not, because they're 2 programs that are restarting. Now, Florida State is a way better brand than Georgia Tech, but still, they are equals when it comes to trying to figure this thing out and move forward. They have their different problems, but Florida State's problems to me is more about discipline than anything on the field.
Looking right now at Oklahoma. How about that? I know you were really impressed as we do have Monday Night Football in action now. By the way, they juked. The game was supposed to start at 6:15. I was looking to set my fantasy roster to get this guy in. Just lo and behold, let's start it.
I guess they're trying to move forward. I don't know.
Just juked me out of 3 minutes. I can't get this guy in now. I would be that guy that has all day.
There he is.
And sets that final. Yeah, Jason Garrett. There he is. I'd be the guy, though, at 6:12 to be getting mad now. When I had all day to just put this guy. So, okay. Looking right now at college football, though, I know you really want to make a big point about the improvement of Oklahoma's defense. 48-0. They shut out the Missouri State squad. Not a point.
National champions.
Not a point from the Grizzlies the whole day. The
National
defense.
champions.
Lincoln Riley and that vaunted D. Is that where we're going here, Sooners? Come on. You do. How about Spencer Rattler? I know you can't really get anything from this game. I have no clue.
It's a good game for him to start out.
But Spencer Rattler still goes out there and he finds a way to have 4 touchdown passes on 14 of 17 for 290 yards. Now, somebody today, the bozos out there that were saying Gardner Minshew had only 19 completion. That's not good. And be like, he had a 20. 19 out of 20. That's an NFL record.
Homework.
95%. For those people, you might say, Spencer Rattler only completed 14 passes.
What a bum.
What a bum in half. 14 to 17. 290 yards. That's like, what is that? I'm not doing the math right now. I'm tired, and there's a hurricane on the way. But that's like close to, 18 to 20 yards per completion?
Pretty good.
That. That's pretty decent.
It's on par for Oklahoma.
That means you're on a 3 or 4 play drive to score a touchdown under Spencer Rattler passing. It's not bad. Sounds like a Pete Shinnick offense.
When you play the Grizz, that's what happens.
Look at this. Look at the Giants already driving. Let's make this happen.
It was
right
a muffed.
Was it a muffed?
Yeah, muffed punt. Yeah.
The one fan base that I'm not going to diss just because it's the only time in my life that I've almost gotten an altercation. You've gone out with me. I don't pick too many fights. So when it comes down to the Steelers, I'm going to tread. I'm just going to say, yeah, good luck to both teams tonight because I'm not going to. I tried to punch me in the face one time. I was just out of nowhere. All I did was have my Pats gear at a place called Froggers in Oviedo, Florida. That's it. Guy walked in. He just went to sock me one. My quick moves, my matrix moves, got away from him.
That's your first mistake. Second mistake.
Had a good burger back there, a buffalo chicken burger.
So that's your 2 mistakes.
Yep.
Look at that. Let me guess. You got boneless wings too.
Does anybody else see that's a complete incomplete? I did not get bones.
The saucy nugs.
Who's the better Watt brother?
TJ.
TJ's better than JJ now?
Oh, yeah. He's healthy. I mean, look, JJ, I love JJ because of everything he does.
That was a fumble.
Yeah, it was.
Wow.
But TJ is unbelievable. He's a lightning rod on that defense.
Which Bosa brother is better?
The one getting paid more. He wins.
I don't know. Right now, just give me them both. I'll be okay.
Yeah, well, let me have both of them, and I'll let you know a few years down the road.
Do you think if you had Bosa's and you had the Watts on one line, that it would be the best defensive line in the NFL?
If JJ was healthy, yeah. It would darn sure help.
That'd be a lot. You put no tackles in there, too. You just spread them out on the outside against the – like, what the heck, man? Okay, overall, from what let's get to Cash It or Smash It here on a few of the topics when we come back from this break. It's the Sports Drive on ESPN Pensacola. There's a hurricane down the road, folks. Be careful. Tune in to 92.3 for all your latest updates right here on News Radio, our sister station, with hurricane right down the road.
Sally.
There
you go.
That's how much I've been paying attention.
Pensacola's own NFL Hall of Famer Emmitt Smith has some tips for us during this time.
This fight is up to all of us to try to help bend that curve. It's going to take teamwork. It's going to take us to stay committed, stay focused, and stay dedicated to the mission at hand, and that is to keep everyone safe. So be encouraging. Find some support. Find someone to talk to every day to encourage them to keep on continuing in this fight. And we will beat this pandemic.
JP here. At ESPN Pensacola, we are hometown proud. Like the greatest pound-for-pound boxer of all time, Roy Jones Jr.
Three-time light heavyweight world champion and former heavyweight champion of the world, future Hall of Fame legend, Roy Jones Jr.
What up? This is your boy Roy Jones Jr. and you're listening to ESPN Pensacola.
JP here. Everyone here at ESPN Pensacola wants to send a shout out to our first responders and healthcare workers at this time. We know it's tough, but we appreciate the work you put day in and day out. We